Hello, welcome everybody to the final breastfeeding video milk supply series. And this is actually going to probably be the most popular of the three videos because it's going to be about increasing your milk supply and what you can do to increase your milk supply. And the best thing really is when you want to increase your milk supply is to understand how the body makes the milk. So the more you understand how the milk is made, the better chances you have of increasing your supply. So in order to speed milk production, you need to remove more milk from the breast. And there should be little time during the day that milk is in your breast, basically. So the more times you empty that breast, the better chances you have of increasing milk supply. Because as you've learned in the other videos, any milk that's left in the breast, the body thinks it doesn't need, so it makes less. So if the baby actually empties the breast and even sucks a little bit on an empty breast, it tells the body to make more. If the baby empties the breast except for a little bit, or empties it, but then you let the baby go, and there's no demand there saying, okay, there wasn't enough, then the body again will just continue to make the same amount as before. And if that isn't sufficient for the baby and you're supplementing, and that's not going to help you to increase that supply so that you have enough to sufficiently feed the baby without supplements. So it's very, very crucial to just kind of remember that you need to remove more milk in order for the body to make more milk, basically. And so just to think in your mind that the more the baby breastfeeds, the less chance there is that milk is accumulating in the breast. So if you want to speed it up, you don't want there to be accumulation. You want the baby to literally just be feeding constantly. So the first thing is to make sure that the baby is nursing efficiently. If the baby's latch is off and they're not latched correctly, the baby is not going to get enough of that milk out. You can sort of think of it like drinking out of a straw. They're just not going to get all of that out. So, and the example they use is drinking out of a straw, drinking from a swimming pool out of a straw, and so you're not going to empty that swimming pool. So you've got to make sure that the baby is latched correctly. And the best way you can do that is to make sure that the baby has a lot of the breast in their mouth, as much of the breast that they can get into their mouth. And some babies can't get as much. And it all depends on how old your baby is. Some moms are increasing their milk at maybe the 5th or 6th month stage. And of course, that's going to be a little bit different because it's actually normal for milk to decrease at 6 months and above, because now you're going to add food, and so this takes away from how much they actually need of the milk. But for a baby who's younger, this is very, very important because how much they get out is crucial, as we've just talked about there not being milk left in the breast. The other thing that can cause this problem is if the baby falls asleep a lot at the breast. So you've got to try to make sure that that baby is awake and feeding. And if you're having problems with that, the best solution is to pump or hand express the rest of that milk out so that the breast is empty, and to continue to do that. The other step is to nurse frequently. And I'm going to put these steps down, and I probably will even go back to the other videos and put in that information. That way you guys have something to look at. So the number 2 is to nurse frequently. And this just means that you should be feeding the baby every 1.5 to 2 hours if you're trying to increase milk supply. And then at night you can do every 3. But during the day, and as much as you can, do 1.5 to 2 hours. And then you can do the 3-hour mark. If you're a mom who sleeps during the day and is up more at night, then you can reverse it. It's just really up to you how you want to do it. But the time that the baby's feeding the most should be 1.5 to 2 hours, and this will also help. And then the The third point is taking a nursing vacation. And what that means basically is if you and the baby could literally go to your bed and the only thing you do is nurse and sleep and eat, and that's it. And that sometimes for a mom, if she's just focused on that, if she can shut down everything else and just sit in that bed for 2 days and just breastfeed and be available to the baby whenever he or she wants it, that's also an option. Now, I know there are a lot of moms out there that have toddlers, and maybe you could do it with your first baby, but it's not going to happen with the second. So you might not be able to do 3, but you can still just use the idea in your head that be available to your baby all day, just whenever they want it. Even if they just want to soothe themselves type of sucking, not actually feeding, but that's okay because the more they're sucking on that breast, the better for you. The number 4 is offering both sides at each feeding. And I'm going to add number 5 with it because it talks about switch nurse, which basically you're going to, typically a baby could possibly get a full feeding on one breast. But when you're wanting to increase supply, it's good to let the baby feed till they stop don't stop them on the first breast. Let them feed until they stop. Burp them, maybe wake them up a little bit, offer the second, and try to get them to feed on the second as well. The switch nurse means basically like, okay, feed them on this breast, and then when they fall asleep, offer the other breast, and then when they fall asleep or let go, whatever, offer the other breast, and kind of like go back and forth 2 or 3 times. So the baby's actually nursing on each breast 2 or 3 times in that one feeding. And I know that I used to do that in the evenings when the baby struggled anyway, and they seemed to want to eat all the time. They'd literally be on each breast 3 times in one feeding. So that is another opportunity. And again, they're going to be sucking on an empty breast, and that's important, and it won't hurt them. Now, if you're already supplementing with formula, and that's where we're going to get into for the next one, you want to try to avoid all food, water, formula, basically. And this, of course, is for a baby under 6 months where you're not yet offering food. But if you're supplementing and you need to supplement, you don't want to, of course, just cut it out. But you want to gradually. So as your supply is building, you want to nurse, like slowly be able to get rid of those supplemental feeds. Now, that kind of is a video in itself to go from supplementing back to full breastfeeding. So if that's something that you're interested in, hit the like button and I will make a video on that. And it may be something I will talk about again in the future anyway, but if it's something that you are interested in knowing, and that's basically, if I'm supplementing, how can I get back to full exclusive breastfeeding and get rid of supplementing? So I can do a video all on that in the future if you're interested, so let me know in the comments below. Avoid pacifiers and bottles. So this would be really, really good. You can use other things to feed the baby, but the reason they say to avoid pacifiers and bottles is let yourself be the pacifier, because like I've said, the more they're on that breast, the emptier that breast is going to be, and that's what we want. We want the breast to be emptied so that the body knows it's got to continue to make it. And so if it continues to be empty, it's going to increase that supply. So that's very important. And you might ask, well, how long do I have to do this? Typically, I would say anywhere between 1 to 3 days, you should notice a difference. And if you get to the 3rd day and you feel it's sufficiently increased, then you can stop. If you feel that it hasn't, you can stop and take a little bit of a break and then do that again, the 1 to 3 times. You can have a pump in certain parts of the house where you constantly walk by, and every time you walk by, sit down and pump for 5 minutes or so, and for a 24-hour period, and that's also a way. Some of this stuff is impossible if you have children, other children besides the baby. So just take the points that you could actually do and just do those. You don't have to do every single one of these, but just having the idea in your mind that the baby needs to empty those breasts, or a pump, hand expression, it just needs to get all that milk out a lot. And the more empty it will be, the more empty it is, the more milk it will make. So just kind of keeping that in your mind, and you're going to be okay in increasing that. So just, you don't have to do everything, every point that I'm making here, but just what works for you. So the last, the last three is take care of mom. So rest and sleep when the baby sleeps, drink plenty of fluids, eat, make sure you're getting in a well-balanced diet. And it's not that you have to eat special or drink something. Your milk is going to be fine, whether you could even be dehydrated or malnutritioned and still be able to make enough milk. Now, you would have to get into the severely malnourished, and even people who are starving still are able to feed their baby. The nursing babies are probably the healthiest. So it's really like a severe case of malnourishment. But you're the one that suffers if you're not drinking enough. It won't be your breast milk that's suffering. It's you and your energy level. Then it's consider pumping. So instead of feeding the baby, you can use pumping sessions as feedings, basically. So you feed the baby like you normally do, and then you just try to pump. Pick some times of the day that you can pump every single day at those same times, and the body will, at first you won't get much out, but then eventually your body's going to see it as a feeding, and it's going to have the milk sitting there ready for that pumping. So just be sure, and you can do none of the other stuff and just follow that one, and you'll be good. And the same with the rest of these things. You could literally like ignore everything else and just focus on one or two of these points. So just knowing that, I don't want you to get overwhelmed, like, oh, I have to try all this stuff. Just pick one or two of them, and that should help you. And if those things don't work, try something else. And then the last but not least is considering a galactagogue. I can't even say it. Anyway, there's such things out there that supposedly increase milk supply. This is all something that you should discuss with your doctor and find out what he would recommend, because we definitely don't want to tell you to take something that would be against your health. I don't know your health personally, so I could never say what you could take safely. So definitely talk to your doctor. There are things out there that have helped some women. I know, like oatmeal, some people say oatmeal helps. Some will swear by beer. Some will swear by grape juice, cranberry juice. So you just have to see what works for you. Talk to your doctor and try some of those if that's something that interests you. So that's it. And I will make sure that all those things are below. I will have a link for you to check out as well. And that ends our series on milk supply. If you have any questions, any concerns, please feel free to comment below or email me. Take a moment to hit the red button and subscribe and continue to follow along with the online breastfeeding classes. And again, if you are interested in learning a little bit more about going from partial breastfeeding to exclusive breastfeeding, hit the like button, and I will be sure to put a video out very soon on that subject. You guys have a great day, and I will talk to you again soon at the next video. Bye.